to show you how good my updated and now AI-infused automated weather workflow is. Ho ho ho! I am willing to tempt fate and open this umbrella indoors. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Haha, look at that. Nothing.
We are on the air.
Ouch! Oh my goodness, that singed a couple of my nose hairs. See what I'm willing to sacrifice for you? Hey there, I am Jeff, the radio DJ dude, and I have to tell you, that original automated weather workflow video, it's actually one of my more popular. So obviously, you dig finding ways to make that weather report process easier. Now, as I re-examined that workflow, oh my goodness, it was clunkier than a 1978 Pinto. I mean, I knew that we could do better, streamline the system, add AI into the mix, and now you have a whole lot more creative possibilities for your weather reports. So I dove in under the hood, did some tinkering, and I want to show you this brand new and improved automated weather workflow sequence. And fear not, I'll walk you through step by step, and I'll make sure that you are able to pull this off friction-free. Well, at least with a minimal amount of friction. Okay, we are in a no-code automation builder called make.com. And right off the bat, there is a free plan which will allow you to pull off all this magic for free. Now keep in mind this is top level, just to show you what this is doing. So we start off with these weather modules where we're checking out the weather report for today and tomorrow. Then once we have that weather data, then we jump over to our AI chat component. And that could be ChatGPT, but what I'm going to show you, we're going to swap out ChatGPT for a free AI chat option using something called Open Router. We'll get to that in a second. That AI component writes your weather script, and then what happens, and this is very different from the first weather workflow, where it was just, oh my goodness, cumbersome, and it was a static script. If you look here at this old workflow, it was sending all the weather data into a spreadsheet, and your weather script really was fixed. It didn't change unless you went in by hand to edit the script every time. So you're just kind of locked in to something static and, in my opinion, blah and boring. Well, boring be gone. Wait till you see the kind of excitement and conversational freshness that we infuse into this new and improved weather workflow. After the script is written, it's sent to 11 Labs to record the voiceover. So now that there is a little more variability and chance in the mix with ChatGPT or whatever service you use to write the scripts, I think it's important to have a human in the loop at this point to review the script and the voiceover. So adding this email module does that. And I'll show you how you can actually make changes once a script is written and a voiceover is recorded. And the final step is sending that voiceover file to Dropbox. And here's why I like using Dropbox for this. Sure, you could use an FTP module, but Dropbox just makes it so easy because they have a dynamic folder that just sits on your radio station computer that's always bringing in the latest files that hit specific folders to your computer. So that just makes it really easy to integrate them into the next steps of my automated workflow. Because if you have listened to me run my gums for any length of times, you know I would never run any unprocessed or unedited audio that comes from an AI voiceover service. Why? Well, first, the levels are usually crappy. There's no processing. It just sounds really flat and just humdrum and dull. And we don't want that on our radio stations, right? And another thing, an odd byproduct of some AI voice models, they love to add a bunch of unnatural silence bits to a voiceover file. And that does a couple things. One, it really slows the momentum down. And sometimes it really, makes believability take a hit. It just doesn't sound natural. So before I air anything coming from 11 Labs or other AI voiceover services, I like to, one, cut out the silence bits based on my specifications, and number two, hit those audio files with some really good radio-ready audio processing, just to make them more dynamic and make sure they pop when they do hit the air. So all this runs hands-free in the background based on a couple cool things. I created a automated audio processing app, which I'll tell you more about, and also which I just updated. And there's some other scripts that move files around and rename them automatically. Because once we, kind of sex up our audio files, what happens, they're then moved to a folder which RadioDJ, which is my radio playout software of choice, and this could work for other playout software applications. Well, when this file hits this particular folder, it's already in prime position for RadioDJ to go live with it, because it is changing the file name from the file that 11 Labs created to a file name that is my default weather report file name. So RadioDJ will always look for that file and just play it. Doesn't matter if it changes, 3 times an hour, it'll just play the newest version. So that is a great way to automate, the file import process too. And you're not having to do file sync or any of that nonsense. And to close that loop and end the suspense, it now hits your air, like I said, 100% hands-free.
Today's forecast is looking great. Expect a high of 72 and a low of 58 with a few clouds. Tomorrow, the sky is clear with a high of 68 and an overnight low of 54.
The best music.
Triple X 80s.
So that is the basic weather prompt. And basic will float a lot of your dinghies, but if you want to get a little wackier, you've come to the right RadioDJ dude. Stick around and I'm going to treat you to some of my favorite weather reports like this. This is a sample of my snarky morning show style weather report.
Look who's tuning in for some weather sass. Today we're hitting a high of 82, hotter than a Jalapenos fan club, and a low of 49, which is colder than your ex's heart.
And then there's this fun rhyming weather.
Sun's out strong, skies are bright, high of 58, feels just right.
But my favorite has got to be the movie trailer style. Just here's a quick bite.
In a world where the sun refuses to hide, today the sky is clear.
This is just a fun way to put a fresh spin on something so old, stale, and no one will expect this. So that is so important. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I am such a lover of creating these unexpected moments. They're pattern interrupts that wake people up from their haze and days of daily life. Anytime you could create something special, creative, that makes them smile or laugh or just listen, then you've got their attention. Maybe they bookmark you because you're not just slinging the same crap as everyone else. So I say with internet radio, come on, rules, give me a break. You write your own rules. Let creativity and innovation be your guide. So if you feel any part of that might float your dinghy, will stick around because I am ready to go step by step, get into the nitty gritty on how you could pull this off on your radio station. Step 1 is not probably where you think I was going to begin. Instead of jumping into make and building out our scenario, I want us to kick the tires on some different AI chatbots. By no means is ChatGPT the leader when it comes to creative written AI content. No, not by a long shot. In some cases, Claude produces much more refined, creative, and conversational written content. But we have a lot of other players on the scene now that are absolutely free. Claude is the most expensive AI chatbot. Then you have ChatGPT. There's others. There's Google Gemini. But I just want you to go in using a prompt that I'm going to give you and plug in just random weather data and see the output. Find out what it spits out and then just judge it. I mean, this is very subjective. Only you know what's going to work best for your radio station. So you want to make sure the scripts kind of, gel with your station's brand and your own personality. And because we have access to a cool tool in make.com that's free, we can now plug in to other free LLMs, large language models, which that's what all these chatbots are. So we're not stuck using paid options. And before we choose one of these, I want you to go to some of these free LLMs websites and plug in this same prompt. And while yes, we're diving deeper into this, I don't want to keep you waiting. I want to actually tip my hat to the free AI model, which you've heard a lot about recently, is DeepSeek. Check out this little bit of creativity that it spit out. And yeah, I get it. This may not be for everybody, but this just shows you what's possible.
Today's weather? Think of it as your favorite chill playlist, laid back with a few breezy tracks. High of 59, low of 49. Tomorrow cranks up the bass with clear skies and a high of 60, dropping to 49 at night.
And something else I recommend is to tweak the prompt. I mean, just don't go what I gave you. Make sure to edit it and make sure that it matches your station's requirements. So after you start getting some consistent output from that prompt and run it a number of times and you're liking what you're seeing, then make a note of that service, that AI chatbot. Put it aside because, no, we're not jumping into make.com just yet. Now we want to hop on over to 11 Labs and find the right voice for this weather report. But you want to make sure to put the time in to get the highest quality voice that you could find. And while 11 Labs does have a free plan, and yes, you could totally pull all this off with that plan, their $5 a month plan, the one that I am on, which is a very small price to pay for the quality you're getting, you now have access to a greater pool of voices. And in some instances, there's a lot more high quality offerings than in the free plan. So once you're in 11 Labs, I want you to copy and paste one of those scripts that you generated when you were doing your testing into this text-to-speech window and just start running it through some of these different voice models here. Now in make.com, when we're automating this, just know the 11 Labs module only lets you alter these two setting choices, the top two here. So when you're doing your testing, leave this third setting to 0 just because you can't assign values to it when we jump over to make. So once you find a voice that you like and you feel you're getting a good, consistent, and somewhat believable output with, you want to write down the voice name and any settings that you made to that voice. Write all that stuff down, and now we can jump into make.com, put on our hard hats, and start the building. So believe it or don't, this is take 3. This is the third iteration of this wild and wacky automated weather workflow. Now, version 2 was simply just a straight line, producing one weather report as often as you wanted to run this. But to me, that falls short of the flexibility you probably are looking for if you're going to plug in this automated weather scenario. Now, don't be overwhelmed by all the extra colorful bubbles. All we're doing is duplicating, this part of the workflow 3 times. And we're using a time-based filter to direct the bots to the right path. So we have one for mornings, we have one for afternoons, and we have one for evenings. Because to me, you're going to want to vary your weather script for the different day parts. Because at 8 p.m., how useful is a weather report that says, today expect sunny skies with a low of 49? No, those sunny skies are long gone. That report needs to focus on the evening and the overnight hours forecast, specifically the low temps and any weather conditions present. And then I think by 5 a.m. when people are stumbling out of bed and they're getting their day going, that's where you could kick in this fresh morning weather report. And granted, you set the parameters here. You go in and edit all these times. I'm just making this up. And then I'm thinking by 11 a.m., the weather report could kind of shift again to maybe focus on afternoon and evening. Where this evening forecast, like I said, it mainly is focusing on overnight hours and then giving some love to tomorrow's forecast. So this is phase 1 of the workflow. What? There's 2? Oh my God. No, you can handle this. To me, phase 2 really is where the control comes in, because in my original workflow, there really wasn't a place for a human in the loop. So basically what this one does, it starts off with a webhook, and all that is this custom email address that is listening for any time it receives an email. Then it's going to trigger this workflow. Meaning, back in our first workflow, which doesn't look like this, but has this same module. Once you receive that email with the script and the MP3 file of the voiceover, you now have the option to reply to the message. And why would you do that? Well, let's say you didn't like that script or the voiceover really didn't, hit the mark. So the power of this is you make your edits to the script in your email, hit reply. Well, this scenario picks it up, sends that newly edited script to 11 Labs for a new voiceover. And then once again, you receive that with an updated email with the script and the new MP3 file. And of course, that file also hits your Dropbox. And here's the thing, you can keep doing this. If you didn't like take two, do it again. Send another email. That's the pigeon eye view of this automated weather scenario. But if this is too much and you're like, I really only need one weather report a day, well, this is all you need. Meaning, come over here and you could pretty much delete all 8 of these modules and then you're good to go. This just provides ultimate flexibility. And because I already did 2 other videos, this is the 3rd time I'm recording this frickin' thing. I'm not redoing it. So we're going to now jump to take 2, which basically is just this workflow. But no, to get to V3, it's as simple as, copying. I'm holding down Command C and pasting, and there you go. But when it comes time to talk about the router and these time filters, I'll give you that information. So let's start building, and I'll walk you through what each of these bubbles do. So over in your make.com account, I assume you've created one. If not, you best get to doing that now. You create the beautiful purple Create a New Scenario button. This is where all of that automation magic begins. And this Barney-esque button awaits a click. So what you want to do is first type in weather. We want to get the daily weather forecast. When? Well, today. Where? Well, enter your city name. Or the other option here is to enter coordinates, longitude, latitude, and make sure it's accurate, or you may end up doing the weather for a small Alaskan town. Okay, next up, if the weather tomorrow is important to you, you want to create a second weather module and click tomorrow. Enter your city here. Perfect. Okay, I'll give you a thrill. If you've never done an automation before, you probably want to see something actually happen. With these 2 modules in place, click run once. Oh, it's very important to save your project as often as you can. So let's name this Auto Weather. Save it. Let's run this baby. Look at that instantly. This is the weather for today. Maximum, minimum, high and low. Description, we're using this. And over here, this is the weather for tomorrow. Looking good. Love it when it works. Let's move this down here. Add another module. So this next module is your brain of the operation. This is your AI writer. I'm going to give you 2 ways to pull this off. If you already have an account with a LLM, whether it's OpenAI, ChatGPT, Anthropic, which gives you Claude, Google Gemini, well, there is a module for you in make.com. And if you're already paying a monthly subscription, well, I just use that. But as I promised earlier, I'm going to reveal a free way to pull this off. Now, if you have not connected your OpenAI or Anthropic account to make.com, you do have to jump through a couple hoops, which just means heading over to platform.openai.com and grabbing an API key. Now that you have your account connected, you're going to create a chat completion, choose the model. I think at this time, GPT-4o is great. And you're sending 2 messages in. And each one of these messages has a different role. The first message, we're telling the system how to behave. We're giving it guidelines. We're giving it rules. So come over to my weather prompts. And I recently refined these even more. So hopefully we get more predictable quality output. So this weather prompt creates a friendly but straightforward weather report. Not a lot of creative wackiness. Definitely more guardrails with this one. So right here, all this is a system prompt. We're laying the job description down. You're a skilled radio scriptwriter specializing in engaging personality-driven weather forecasts, etc., etc. And all the rules come after that, okay? We're going to paste that in to this box here. And a tip when you're pasting large blocks of text into these windows, on a Mac, if you hold down Shift Command V, it preserves the formatting. Otherwise, it comes in as just one solid text block. We'll save this. Now we have to send in another message as the user. This is where we're going to plug in our weather data that the AI model needs to write the script based on. So for this, I am going to grab this text, and I'll show you why. I paste this in. Now you see these black boxes because what I'm pasting in here, see these orange rectangles? Well, these are valid, like mappable data points from previous modules, these two weather modules. The black ones, they don't exist. So I'm just going to delete all these. And what I'm going to do is look at these weather modules. Each of them have a number. This is 1, which is today's weather. And number 2 is tomorrow's weather. So today's weather, high temperature today, I'm taking maximum, dragging it over here. Low temperature today comes from minimum. Whoops. All you have to do is click. And I want to get rid of these spaces. Don't need them. Description of the weather today. Well, sky is clear. That's today. We're moving on to tomorrow now. So we come on up. Maximum, that's our high. Our low is minimum. Description, overcast clouds, right there. So that's it. And if you notice, wait a second, that doesn't look like Fahrenheit. No, it's Celsius. But fret not, within our system prompt, we're telling the bots to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, rounding up, no decimals. That's really important. And if you think you could handle the excitement, let's run this and actually see our first AI-generated weather report. Here we go, coming down the pike. 3, 2, 1, here it is. Nothing but clear skies today with a high hitting 60. Tonight we're dipping to 50. Tomorrow brings overcast clouds with a high around 58. I mean, that's very straightforward, right? Now later on, I'm going to reveal some really creative prompts to just let this go nuts. And for most of you, this is probably the kind of tone that you're looking for. Now keep in mind, you're not going to be locked into this script. This system does have the human intervention stage where if you want to make a tweak, you can edit the script and send it back to 11 Labs to have the voiceover re-recorded. That's not a problem. We've got clear skies today with our highs up to 59. Tonight, we chill down to around 50. Tomorrow, say hello to overcast clouds with a high of 57 and low dropping to 49. I mean, that's not bad. Okay, we know this part of the automation works. We're in good shape. Now, if all this is just too much and you already feel your eyes transforming into glazed donuts just because of all the gobbledygook, you're not a coder, you just want to experience the automated weather magic, well, I get it. And I may have a solution for you. All these templates from make.com and my weather prompts and a couple extra fun weather prompts I have available over in my shop. So you just pick these babies up, one click, you import these blueprints to make.com and boom, the building is done. All you have to then do is just connect your individual accounts in the modules, like your 11 Labs account and all that stuff. And then once those are plugged in, boom, you're off and running. So that is the paid OpenAI option. Here is the free method I mentioned. There's a great service called Open Router, okay? You'll need to connect your free Open Router account. You head back to their site, you find your API key, paste it in there, and then you are in business. So this does look familiar to the ChatGPT module, whereas you're going to feed it a couple messages. First up, we have our system message. And for this, let me just do 1, 2, because I want to copy in our message from ChatGPT. So back in this module, we're just going to copy this entire first prompt, come back to Open Router. We're going to paste it in our system message field, okay? Save that. Back here, we'll grab our user message with our temperature data. And we're going to slam that baby into item number 2, our user message. This is the great thing about OpenRouter. Like I mentioned, it connects you to almost every popular AI LLM large language model. And if you just want to focus on free, up here in the search bar, you type in free. Look at this. There's a lot to choose from. But this is where that first step I mentioned, actually taking my prompt and slamming it in to some of these LLMs on your own before you come in to make is so important. Because by now, you should kind of have a feel for the one model that you receive the best output from. Maybe it's DeepSeek or it's Google Gemini. Let's say we want our first model of choice to be Google Gemini, but the cool thing is our second one is fallback. For some reason, if Gemini fails us, then we could always go to another free model. DeepSeek is very capable. Keep in mind, this is DeepSeek R1, the reasoning model. And it really takes its sweet time to think through the prompt and give you the best output possible. So this takes a little longer to generate an output, but it's still a solid output. And we've enabled yes for fallback. Let's save this. And now to get rid of this ChatGPT module, I don't want to delete it. I want to click the wrench, unlink it, and just move it up here out of the way, okay? Unlink. And then we're going to grab this Mickey Mouse ear, connect this in. Now we're connected to OpenRouter. Why not? Let's take this for a whirl and see the kind of output we get. That's pretty quick. We're using Google Gemini. It's a cozy, cloudy day today with a high of 56, a low of 50. Tonight we'll see some breaks in the clouds as we dip to the low of 49. Tomorrow expect more sunshine peeking through the clouds with a high of 62 and a low of 49. Little wordy for me. Maybe that's fine for you. Granted, this is a free model. So you need to balance your expectations of free and quality. Because this is version frickin' 3 of this video, I did some more tests with different models. And you know what? Come on. If this radio station means anything to you, you got to kick in a couple pesos to get the best output. And when I'm talking about having to pay for an AI model, we're talking less than pennies. In a second, I'll show you how much it costs on average to generate a prompt's worth of content. That being said, what my tests have discovered is Anthropic, Claude 3.5 Sonnet gets massive amounts of love, and rightly so. I found its output to be very creative, very conversational, much more human-like than others. Scores high marks for me. Granted, I get decent results from OpenAI too, but just know Claude 3.5 Sonnet is the priciest model out there. Really expensive. I mean, take that with 2 grains of paprika because it's still pretty cheap. We're still talking pennies. But Claude 3.5 Haiku, dirt cheaper. And for simple directives like these, just creative writing outputs, taking some weather data, transforming them into scripts, incredibly capable to pull that off. I know I said free, and yes, you can choose a bunch of freebies within OpenRouter, but unless you're getting consistent output from them, I think you're only adding time to your workflow because all the time spent hand-holding and editing scripts jumps dramatically. So what's your time worth? I still think you should review every script and every voiceover that is generated. Once again, it's your station. Crap in, crap out, bye-bye listeners. So if that's important to you, you have to stay involved. For example, let's run this again and see what Haiku gives us. Okay. Don't make a liar out of me, Haiku. Tomorrow brings broken clouds and a high of 62 with overnight lows settling around 49. That's not bad. I mean, I don't know if I like the clouds hanging low, but that could be conversational. Let's run this one more time. See what kind of haiku it spits out for take 2. Check this out. Overcast skies today with a high of 56 and a low of 50. Heading into tomorrow, we're looking at broken clouds and temperatures climbing to 62 with an overnight low near 49. That's definitely more straightforward. But here's the thing. If you're not getting the output, you have to change your input. Give the bots some updated rules to follow. I have a lot of guardrails baked into this because early on I was getting really nutty and wacky and cheesy output. So this really has pulled the reins in tight. So I think as you continue to test, you slowly let the reins out a little more. And then when you're liking the output, that's the prompt that you lock in. Okay, how much is all this going to set you back? I know I promised free, but this is near free. Look at my activity open on Open Router. So you can see here, these are the Claude 3.5 haiku prompts I just ran. I ran 3 times. This is how many tokens it cost me. And boy, look at this. Did it ever cost me? The most expensive was 0.00079 cents. Okay, let's bring this calculator in. If you were to deposit $5 to Open Router, okay? $5 divided by 0.00079. That's weather reports. That'll deliver 6,329 weather reports, okay? 6,329. Let's say you did 3 weather reports a day. That's 2,110 days. 2,110 divided by 365. That's 5.8 years of weather reports. Not bad. Okay. I mentioned that is more affordable. Let me give you an idea of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is really the star AI player for good written content. So that is costing 0.00494 pennies. So let's check that out. You just dropped $5 and now it is costing you 0.00494. Now that gives you 1,012 scripts. 1,012. And you're doing 3 scripts a day. Now you don't even have a year's worth of content. And to have access to any paid model, you just kick in a couple bucks right here on Open Router. And honestly, I think this is a great money saver. Instead of dropping $20 a month on Claude or even OpenAI, you just kind of pay as you go. You buy credits as you need them. Because to show you how much I care about sweet little you, I'm willing to spend 0.004 cents on you and your needs and change Open Router to deliver a Claude 3.5 Sonnet output, just for you to see the difference. God, am I the radio DJ dude who cares or what? Here we go. Here comes 0.004 cents. Better be worth something. In the big moment, let's check out the output. A blanket of clouds, keeping things cozy today with a high of 57. Tonight we're settling in at 51. Tomorrow brightens up a bit with those clouds breaking apart, pushing us up to 62. That's a little clunky, but as you can see, it definitely is more conversational. It just, has a little more human oomph to it. But is that enough to justify the price jump? Once again, only you and your wallet can answer that question. I'm just giving you ingredients. You need to decide what you make with them. But now knowing the strengths of some of these models, consider this. We've been spending a lot of time with these basic weather reports. Not a ton of creativity. Lots of rules to reward you for sticking around, and hopefully you're still awake. I'm going to give you 3 other use cases, oozing with fun and personality. So if you're ready, strap in. This, I think, is perfect for a morning show. It's our snarky weathercaster, full of attitude and sass. She's named Stormy. And let me first play you the output. And here's one of her weather reports.
Look who's tuning in for some weather sass. Today we're hitting a high of 82, hotter than a Jalapenos fan club, and a low of 49, which is colder than your ex's heart. The skies are clear so you can finally see your neighbor's questionable lawn art. Tomorrow, brace yourself. It's cloudy and windy, bringing more drama than bad reality TV. The high should hit 63. This is Stormy, signing off before the next weather meltdown.
Continuous hits. Triple X 80s.
So Stormy comes to life with a pretty, extensive prompt. We're giving her tone variations, forbidden content, talking about style guidelines, output structure. So this prompt really delivers some decent results. Now, you may want to mix things up with a rhyming report. Hit it.
Sun's out strong, skies are bright, high of 58, feels just right. Tonight we dip to 45, grab a sweater if you're out past 5. Tomorrow's clear, no need to frown, with a high near 59 in town.
The best music.
Triple X 80s.
And our rhyming British cutie is activated by this prompt right here, where we give some example outputs, which is really important when you're prompting the bots. And lastly, I love this one. Here is a weather report in the style of an action-packed movie trailer.
In a world where the sun refuses to hide, today the sky is clear and the high reaches 68. But when darkness falls, the temperature drops to 45. Tomorrow, the saga continues. Another cloudless sky, topping out at 59.
Fabulous hit machine.
Triple X 80s.
This is how we bring this to life. This prompt does a great job, but what really sells it is that voice. That particular AI voice available on 11 Labs, fortunately, you need at a minimum a $5 a month subscription to have access to some of the more quality voices like that one. But that sells it. I don't think this movie trailer approach works if you just have a regular humdrum, high-pitched voice. No. You need to sell it. And to do it, you need a voiceover in the style of a Hollywood movie trailer. So now that we have the script, we're going to send that over to 11 Labs to generate the video. We want to create a speech synthesis. And like all these other modules, you need to connect your 11 Labs account, and that means signing in, grabbing an API key, and pasting it in. Once you do that, you'll see all your voices, but at this point, you've already done your testing. You know the exact voice that you want to use and the model that you did your testing with. For good old Scooby-Dooby-Doo, I used 11 Multilingual V2. Now, where's the text coming from? Where's this script coming from? Well, for Open Router, click Choices, Message, Content. Okay? That's the script. That's what's being sent to the AI voiceover artist. And you remember, I had you write down those settings. I think for Scooby, it was 0.62 and 0.80. And how this translates over on 11 Labs, that's 62% and 80%. Okay, that looks great. Let's save that. Let's keep going. Let's not run this just yet. Next up is where we bring you in. This is where a human is able to intervene, check the script, listen to the voiceover. And if you're not happy with either, you have a chance to rerun them. And you can run them as many times as you want, as long as you have operations left in your free make.com account. Anyway, we're sending an email. So we're going to type email, send an email. Here's where you connect your email account. And I have to tell you, if you use a Google Gmail account, this is a trickier process. The only reason I'm using a Google connection is because I have a business email through Google Workplace. So it makes it much easier. But if you have a just plain Gmail email address, more hoops, definitely doable. Okay, once you get that hooked up, save message after sending. No, I don't want to save it. Once is plenty. Here is where you type in the email address where you want to send all this nonsense. And that's locked in. Subject, I'm going to just type weather report. Content type HTML. Here's what I want to do with the content. I mean, you could do anything here. Keep it simple. I am just going to paste the text from the script in there, okay? That's the body of the email. But for the attachment, bam, I'm slamming in the 11 Labs file right there. That's it. This is done. And we add our final module for me is Dropbox. We're uploading a file. Once again, you're connecting your Dropbox account. And before you get to this stage, you're going to go into your Dropbox account and actually create a special folder for these AI files. For me, it's radio weather. Now you may think, oh, I'll just choose this because we did that in the email step for file. No, you want to actually map this, and I'll tell you why in a second. You want to be able to enter a custom file name here. And for me, I'm using weather.mp3. And this matters more on the back end when we get to the radio station side of things. So create that file name. And in case this data field is blank, the data you're pulling in is from the 11 Labs module data. That's the raw MP3 file. And click Advanced Settings. It's important to, yes, you want to overwrite in an existing file. Because if you're doing multiple weather reports a day, I mean, you're not saving these things. You're not holding on to them for posterity. Don't be precious with your weather reports. They're disposable. So overwrite these files. Yes, save it. And honestly, dun 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 dun, that's the end of this workflow. Let's save it. Actually, I may have cued the human horns a little too soon. We're not totally done. We need one more piece of data for this email, and I'll show you why. The reply to field. And this is really the magic of this upgraded workflow. Save this. Let's jump out of this for 1 second because I want to give you a sneak peek of what we're building next and why we're going to build what I'm about to show you. So this is just a simple 4 modules. What this is doing, we're starting off with this crazy thing called a custom mail hook. You may have heard of a web hook. This is a mail hook. Look at this wild string of nonsense. This actually is a custom email address with make.com. So we're going to copy this to our clipboard. And maybe at this point, if you were to start a new scenario, what you do is make your first module a webhook, custom mail hook. I'll show you how to build that scenario out in a second. Let's just finish this one up. And I want to come back here to show advanced settings, reply to, and copy our mail hook email address into the reply to field because it's going to make it really easy to send any script edits back into the system. So this is done, okay? But just know, using this workflow, regardless if you like a script or hate a script, it's still going to record the voiceover and then drop it over in Dropbox. So with this built out, come on, we got to kick the tires on this thing. And ChatGPT is writing the script. Voiceover has been recorded. It's been emailed, and now theoretically, it's up in Dropbox. Oh, but is it? Let's check their work right here. Here we go. Here's your weather report. Today's forecast has clear skies with a high of 58 and a low of 50. Tomorrow, look out for overcast clouds with a high of 57 and a low of 49. That's very straightforward. Let's see how it sounds.
Today's forecast has clear skies with a high of 58 and a low of 50. Tomorrow, look out for overcast clouds with a high of 57 and a low of 49.
Good enough. And there was a little space in here between, these sentences. Don't worry about that because what I'm about to show you will blow you away. It's my automated audio processing app that, hands-free back at your radio station will trim any silence bits and hit the entire voiceover with some really nice audio processing. Okay, so this is where we're at. And if we come over here to Dropbox, you can even see this weather report.
Today's forecast has clear skies with a high of 58 and a low of 50.
There we go. This works. This is a good workflow. Let's keep this email up because what we're going to do is connect the mail hook, and then we're going to make an edit and send this back to the system and have it redo the voiceover. But back to Make, what you're going to do is create a new scenario, okay? And your first module, and sometimes this doesn't work. If that's the case, refresh the page, and Barney's big blue nose shows back up. You're going to type in here, mail hook, okay? Or web hook, and you'll see mail hook as an option, okay? You're going to want custom mail hook. See this lightning bolt? This means it's going to always be listening. It's going to be waiting for your very special email. Create a webhook, okay? Once you do this, you can name this. I'm going to call it weather hook. There it is. Right here, you copy this address. You head back over to our previous scenario, and that's what you copy in the reply to field. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come back over here. Since this is such a simple workflow and you get the gist of building with these components, this will be your first module, that webhook. Next up is going to be that 11 Labs module. And I'll show you, the only difference here is for text, which is a script, you click in here, and this is all the data the webhook is sending, okay? You want the text. See date, subject, text. This may look different for you, but you should find text. That's the text from the body of the email. And then you choose your voice, lock in all your settings. That's good to go. So next up, we're sending another email, and this is the same settings as that other scenario where you're sending. You could change the subject line. This is the weather VO. Here's the weather VO. Choosing the file from 11 Labs. That's all we're doing. And for Dropbox, yep, same as the other scenario. We're just sending that weather file back in. We're overriding the old file, and that's that. one thing we haven't addressed yet is how and when do these scenarios run? Down here, you see this button. Let's save this. You see this button immediately as data arrives. So we want to run scenario immediately. In this view, it's not doing anything. So click here, kind of zoom out, and you see this on-off button. You want to turn the scenario on. When it's on, it's always listening. If you come out here to all your scenarios, you see it's up at the top. Just so you know, Make.com only gives you 2 live triggers with a free plan. So if you want more than 2 live triggers, pony up $9 a month. So in theory, I should be able to go back to my email and hit reply. Look at this. I'm replying to this Make.com email address. But what's really important here, I want you to copy the script and make sure to delete every other piece of text from this email body. Otherwise, it'll be sent to the bots to read. And that'll be a waste of a recording. Today's forecast is clear skies with a high of 58, a low of 50. Tomorrow, say get ready for overcast clouds with a high of 57 and a low of 49. Just to make this a little more conversational, today we've got clear skies on tap with a high of 58 and a low of 50. Tomorrow, get ready for overcast clouds. Just let's change this to skies. Tomorrow, get ready for overcast skies with a high of 57 and a low of 49. Okay, we'll send this off. And the moment I do, let's go back to make. Look at that. Okay, did you see that? So it just ran. And let's see what we got. Let's head back over to, okay, here's the weather VO. Great.
Today we've got clear skies on tap with a high of 58 and a low of 50. Tomorrow, get ready for overcast skies with a high of 57 and a low of 49.
And here's the thing. If you didn't like that, well, hit reply again. You know, one thing I want to change, because it would be nice to always have that script. Let's say we didn't like this. Well, we could hit reply again, edit the script, and we could keep sending this back in as many times as we want. Let's make a change to the email module, okay? And we're going to just come over here, grab the script from our webhook, which is text. Just say updated weather VO. Save it. Save it. And this is still running. This is listening. Pop over to Dropbox, and this should be the updated weather report right here.
Today we've got clear skies on tap with a high of 58 and a low of 50. Tomorrow, get ready for overcast skies with a high of 57 and a low of 49.
If you're not picking up on this, do you see the power of this system? I mean, I just showed you a simple little weather report, but there's so many things you can do with this now. With this custom mail hook, you could be sending in voiceover scripts all day long. Let's say you have other features that you want to update automatically. This system is really powerful to pull off a lot of automated voiceover events. I know I still owe you details on how to create that multi-script option based on filters. Well, let's jump back to our first workflow. Now, I want you to hit Shift and then drag your mouse over these modules. We're going to copy them. And you could right-click, copy modules, and then click off down here in the workflow and hit Paste, and boom. Now you have duplicated modules that you can connect to a router. And then the router is going to force you to add a module to this gray module. You just delete those. And then if you want to move this down, grab Mickey's left ear and just drag it to the router, and that's how you connect. And then eventually you want to add the third path, and that simply happens by clicking the router, and then a new path is added. Just like that. And eventually, when you have these 3 different paths, they really aren't any good unless you add a filter to them. The filter becomes the traffic cop. It'll direct the flow based on the time of the day. So to do that, you click the wrench, click Setup Filter. You give it a name, enter parameters. You do the same for each branch that you create. So let's take a look at some of my filters here. So this upper row is for mornings. So I click this filter. I've called it time mornings. And it's very important to enter this string exactly as I have it, format date. Now you don't type format date, okay? Let's come over here and set up a filter. Condition. See the little calendar icon? You click on that. And what you're going to want to do is format date. So you click that. And now with your cursor, you move your cursor right between format date and the semicolon. You click now. Okay? And then you move your cursor one click over. And then you type in capital HH colon capital MM and boom. And that is your equation to be able to then enter 24-hour time in these boxes. So that's really important. And just to check my work. No, I screwed it up. We want HHMM, lowercase mm. So come back here. There we go. Then you have to enter the times that make sense for you. So click this drop down and you want to make sure you're using a time operator. So this is greater than or equal to, and I used 5 a.m. And then I'm creating an AND rule, and I'm going to copy this string, paste it in, another time operator. This one is going to be less than, okay? What did I say, 11 a.m.? So this is your first rule. Come over here and I'll show you my second rule for afternoons. This same format date string, time operator greater than or equal to 11, and time operator less than 16, which is 4 p.m. And finally, my evening filter, format date, time operator greater than or equal to 1600, 4 p.m., or, this is key, your last time filter in your chain has to be an or clause. I'm saying or time operators less than 5 a.m. So it'll run this weather report between the hours of 4 p.m. and 5 a.m. That's how the filters work. And definitely make sure to test these out. And for the smarties out there, you're probably wondering, well, hang on a second. Don't I need to change the prompts? Because if I'm generating different weather reports based on day part, well, the scripts need to be different. Yes, exactly. 3 gold stars for you. I modified my basic weather report into an evening forecast. And the rules have been updated to really focus on the evening and overnight hours and also tomorrow's weather. So this new prompt accomplishes that. And you'd enter that down here in your third AI script writer module. And here's an idea when you're deciding on the different AI models. And honestly, when we look at the different styles of weather reports that we've generated, basic weather, ChatGPT, maybe even a free model, definitely Anthropic's 3.5 Haiku will do a bang-up job on producing those basic weather scripts. But as you start turning up that creative dial, especially with a snarky weather report, that's maybe where you want to slide in Claude 3.5 Sonnet, because then you're just guaranteed much more quality output. So let's say this only runs once a day, and you're dropping 0.004 pennies on this one script. That's up to you. Is that worth it? For me, definitely. And that's the great thing with this scenario is you can mix and match your AI modules here. So now that you have everything in place, you have one more big task is to flip the switch on this baby. And you have to figure out how often do you want this scenario to run. So that's a number that you need to come up with. Let's say you want to pull new weather reports every 5 hours. Well, you enter that in minutes. So 5 times 60, that's 300 minutes. And there are some other rules that you could implement here. But I think 5 hours is a good benchmark. Activate the scenario, save any unsaved changes. So this will run every 5 hours. And once again, all that means is it is going to pull the weather and then based on your time filter, send it along the appropriate path. And if you're on a free plan, something you have to be very cognizant of is something called operations, because Make.com generously gives you 1,000 free operations per month. But What the heck does that mean? Well, each time one of these modules are triggered during a workflow, that is an operation. Let's use this weather show morning report workflow as an example. So for this workflow, it's going to cost you 1, 2, this doesn't count, 3, 4, 5, 6 operations. So that's 6 operations in just this phase. But keep in mind, we have the second review phase, and you have to count those up too. Thankfully, this isn't as operation heavy. So we were at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's a total of 10 operations per weather report that you generate using make.com. So if each weather report costs you 10 and you're doing 3 a day, that's 30 operations per day. Okay, so 1,000 divided by 30, that gives you 33 days worth of operations. Well, that's great for your weather. What about other workflows you may have running in Make? So just keep your eye on that. Here's the great thing. Even if you do have to bump up to the next plan, it only is $9 a month. And for that, you get 10,000 operations. If you're interested, I have a link in the description for make.com. Let's jump on our pogo sticks and make our way to RadioDJ to get this set up. I'm going to make this blisteringly easy. I don't want you to have to, perform a folder sync and import files every time. No. I have a big, honking, easy button approach for you. And it go a little something like this. What we want to first do is create a brand new category in voice tracks. And I'm going to call this weather. Let's just say live. Okay, locking this in. Boom, boom, bing. That is ready to roll. I'm going to close out of here. And after that, you only have to import one file once. This is how stupidly easy this is. So I'm going to go over to my voice track, weather live folder, where I have this beautiful file right here. Now study this file name, vt-weather_live.wave. We're bringing that baby in. And we're sexing it up with the proper metadata here. That goes into weather live. This does not matter, the genre. For track type, I'm not going to choose variable duration. I'm going to use other, and very important, check overlay file. Let's just make sure this gels. This is going to be voice track, weather live. We're importing this. And so that's not even a real weather report that I imported. Because all we need is a dummy file in there. Because the brilliance of the system, once a new file hits your Dropbox and some audio processing magically happens behind the scenes, it's going to rename that file vt-weatherlive.wave. And then RadioDJ will just play this file in this folder whenever it has to. It doesn't care about the contents of the file. It's not double checking to make sure it's a weather report. No. It just wants this file name and the file location, the file path basically, to match. And it's going to match. And to prove it, take a quick listen.
Hello, Triple X80s.
This for the contest?
No, that's for the blood drive.
Okay, so definitely not a weather report. Of course, if you're running your station based on rotations, which my all 80s juggernaut, triplexx80s.com is all about, well, you're going to need to program in a slot for the weather report. I mean, you could do this either in an event or in a rotation. Let's just see if I have one with a weather report baked in. I don't think I do. So let's create a brand new one. We're going to add some tunes, and then let's jump into the weather here. And my story, production value is key. You really want anything that hits your ear to pop, to sizzle, to dazzle. That's why I have some cool weather jingle beds that will play right before the voiceover hits. So I'm programming in this weather bed right there. Now you have one of two options. Because you cannot plug in, an exact track within a track rotation, well, you could go to that subcategory that we created, Weather Live, and as long as there's ever only one file in there, boom, you just slot that baby in. Now, this is also very easy to pull off using a SQL query. But let's just keep it like that. Coming out of the weather report, let's slam into a station jingle, and then we'll get right back to the tunes. Okay. Now we'll load it up with magic, weatherbed, weather live, jingle, back to Billy Idol. So if you look down here, the voice track for the weather, well, it's our dummy file, it says 15 seconds. Keep that in mind because we have not loaded up our brand new voice track yet from the wonderful AI weathercasters in the sky. So now that RadioDJ has been primed and is sitting pretty and ready for our very first file to hit, let's kick that part of the action into gear. So I have two folders that I want you to focus on. This is the Dropbox folder, which is pulling in any file that is deposited into it online into folder on my radio station computer, which is very cool. Now, this is an older weather file. Now, look over here in VT Weather Live. This is a directory on my D drive where I have all my radio station's audio. And this is that dummy file that we put in there. Now, let me peel the curtain back and show you how this magic is going to transpire. So I have a piece of code. Once I trigger it, it is going to keep its eye like a rabid hawk on this Dropbox radio weather folder. Anytime a file hits this directory, boom, this code springs into action. And what the heck does it do? I'm so happy you asked. Didn't think you would. With this configuration editor, let me show you what that cool watch folder script is doing. Well, first, you're able to add folders that you want it to keep its laser eye focused on. So right now we're saying, hey, keep your eye on that Dropbox folder where the weather reports are coming in. And then we tell it, well, where you want to put these folders once we find them. So put it in there. And here is the real power of this sucker. Trigger application. Once it finds a file, then it runs my super cool automated audio processing app, which I'll let you take a peek at in a second. And then there's this sweet function, renaming rules, because as you saw in our make.com workflow, those files from 11 Labs were being saved as weather.mp3. Well, how helpful is that when RadioDJ is expecting a file called VT Weather Live? Now, when this script runs, every time a file hits this folder, it's going to be moved to this folder, hit with our automated audio processing, and then renamed from weather to the exact name RadioDJ is expecting. We save this baby, and now it's ready to roll. I've teased you long enough. Now, I gave you a sneak peek of this app in a prior video, but that was V1. I have updated this app to V2. And yes, be prepared to be completely underwhelmed by the user interface, but be dazzled by what this baby does. Don't let this simple GUI fool you. There's a lot going on here. So let's dive into what is happening here and how it interacts with that other watch folder script. And you can use this for a whole host of things. So this too is looking for an input folder. And any audio files that hit this folder are primed for processing. And after they do get processed, you tell the app, well, where should I then save the newly processed files to? Now, I have a couple audio processing options already baked in that you just check. If you want mild compression and some limiting, or if you want a little heavier radio style compression, you check these boxes. But the real magic and flexibility of this, I have this box here where you can enter your own custom recipe. And don't be scared by this. This is a huge string of code. But in the manual, I provide you with a couple solid code options. And the code in this box right now, it has been fine-tuned to process AI voiceovers. And if you look here, this tempo function actually bumps up the tempo by about 7%. And by doing that, it adds a little pep, a little life into sometimes a drier sounding AI voiceover. And this crusher is making sure the levels don't go over 2 dB. There's an equalizer that's, boosting the bottom end. It's doing a little boost on the highs and running a high pass to roll off all that low end rumble and junk. And then you have some really nice audio compression and normalization going on in this string too. So this is perfect and just what we need for AI voiceovers. Now the real magic of this, because as I mentioned before, one of the nasty byproducts of AI voiceover are the crappy silent sections that you'll hear a lot of times. And that just slows the flow and it really adds an unnatural characteristic to an already fake voiceover. So baked into this app is a shortened silent sections function. And since this only works with WAV files, the real upgrade to this app, I now do this all in one. You used to have to run a separate WAV conversion app, but now you just check this box. It's going to automatically convert any MP3 files in your input folder to WAV files. And if you want those silent bits cut out, you check this. And then this is as your direction. You need to enter values that match your tolerance levels of silence. So I'm saying, and all these values are in milliseconds, and you can look down here at this little chart. 450 milliseconds is almost a half second, which is pretty long. So I'm saying anything that is over 450 milliseconds, replace it with 320 milliseconds of silence. You don't want to just cut this out completely and butt cut it to the next, audio element, because that sounds equally unnatural. So you do want a natural kind of pause in there. Once again, you direct this. You enter how much of a pause. 320 works well for me. And very important, you have to set a threshold. The software doesn't know where silence is or what silence is. So you're saying anything negative 50 dB or lower. Now, another functionality of this automated audio processor is a file sync function. And we're not using it in this video. And now, so I'm clear, I know not all of you are rocking RadioDJ. And the great thing with this works for any other radio playout system. This is just an automated audio processor. Now, the benefit if you have RadioDJ, you could use this sync files option. Okay, now that you have everything locked in, you save this config file, because this program is kind of 2-in-1. Not only are you getting this standalone app with a graphical underwhelming interface, you also have this automated app. And this runs in the background because, once again, I'm pitching you an automated solution for your weather reports. And you don't want to have to, double click and open up an app to, make choices and send this off to be processed. No. You want something that's going to run automatically. And this auto application is the very one that first script I showed you runs after it detects a file in our Dropbox radio weather folder. And it runs this hands-free, so you're not having to click anything. So this audio processing app can be yours for an incredibly reasonable price. Check out my shop. You can see the link in the description for that. And I really feel if you care about quality audio on your radio station, any voice that you go live with needs to be processed. Otherwise, it's just flat. It kind of gets buried in the mix. It's hard to hear it if you're running a voice over a music bed or if you're talking over a song intro. So yes, even your voice tracks should be processed so they sound the absolute best that they can. And here is a weather report that 11 Labs generated. Let's first open this baby up in Audacity. Let's see what we're working with. And you're right, maybe this audio does not need a lot of processing. Well, right off the bat, what do you notice? Right here, silence, silence, silence. To me, that's not going to sound great. Levels look pretty healthy. Here's the interesting thing. Different voice models really come with different volume levels and different amounts of processing already baked in. And that is determined with the quality of the voice file that 11 Labs is trained on. Because if you or I want to clone our voice, the best case scenario is, yes, using a professional microphone, a quiet environment. But after we record our 30 minutes of, sample audio, we want to clean it up. Do a little noise reduction. We want to hit it with some light compression, some limiting, EQ. So our AI voice model is just ready to roll for the most part once it's produced. So let's play this back and take a look at the levels, see what we're working with.
Today's forecast. 59 degrees and enough clouds to keep things interesting.
So we're at -6 right now. I mean, that's not good enough for me. I like to be at least -2. So I just created a couple cool Audacity macros that are fine-tuned to process AI voiceovers. So let's close that out and let's run it. Tempo 5. It's applying the high-quality tempo change filter. And bada bing, bada boom, we're in business. It actually cut off about a half a second. And look at how healthy those levels now are. Okay, looking good. So enough yippity yap. Let's kick this into gear. So let's clear out this radio weather folder, which this script has its eye on, okay? And we're going to start up the watch code. So let's grab our weather file and we're going to drop it in this folder just like 11 Labs would be depositing it into Dropbox's folder online, because it hits your hard drive. Just to show no flimflammery, let's look at the properties of this file, okay? It's 12/12 right now, and this says created, so this today. You could look at the creation date and the modified date. They're definitely not right now. So we'll check that in a second. But let's first drop our MP3 weather file into this folder, just like it's happening for the first time. And then, oh, where did it go? Well, that's the magic of this script. The script is working hard. And by now, it should have processed it. Let's check these properties and see where we're at. 12:13. Wow. Okay. That's fast too. So let's open this baby up.
Today's forecast. 59 degrees and enough clouds to keep things interesting. Overnight lows drop to 49. Tomorrow, swap the clouds for sunshine. High of 60, low of 49.
Hey, sounds good to me. And now that is sitting pretty. That is waiting for Radio DJ to put that baby on the air. It's a perfect time to jump back and kick this workflow into motion. So a couple things to keep in mind. This dummy file's duration data is based on the dummy file. Our new file definitely is not 15 seconds. We saw it was around 11 seconds. So that's something to be mindful of once we run this, because if you look over here in our playlist, it's expecting a 15-second file. So let's see how Radio DJ handles that, and especially how it handles it in triggering this jingle, which runs right after the voiceover element. Let's speed up time and take a deep breath. We hope this works. Here we go.
Today's forecast. 59 degrees and enough clouds to keep things interesting. Overnight lows drop to 49. Tomorrow, swap the clouds for sunshine. High of 60, low of 49.
The hottest music all day long.
Totally awesome.
Triple X 80s.
Woo-wee! That sounds good. I like it. So what does this look like when we open this track up? Q Editor. So this truly is
Today's forecast.
the weather report. It just doesn't have any cue points except for the start cue point. But that didn't affect the on-air execution. And then the very next time you have a weather report, well, this file will be overwritten and be sitting pretty, waiting to be programmed on air. If you're still with me, you are a radio rock star. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long journey, but hopefully you just go nuts with this, because I think if you're running weather on your radio station, it's just one more hassle that you have to figure out how to pull off, and this minimizes the hassle factor and automates the majority of it. I am Jeff, the Radio DJ dude, and if you got any enjoyment out of this little ditty, oh my goodness, I would love just a very wee like and subscribe from you. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. And until our next radio rendezvous, you keep rocking those mics all over the world.